Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Pete's CD Vinyl World. Today I'm going to do the vinyl tag that Chris Propfe started, which is what happens in August stays in August. So he has 8 questions related to music-related topics, and figured I'd jump on this one and start. First question, August release you're looking forward to? Not really big into the whole reissue thing or the record store day thing, unless it's something that hasn't been released before, as far as music wise. Getting something on like colored vinyl or some things like that don't really interest me too much, but I am interested in getting the reissue of the Who Odds and Sods, which is going to be a double album, so I'm assuming has additional tracks not on the original. It does come in yellow or red vinyl, which I think black vinyl sounds better than all these colored vinyl. I don't know, maybe it's just like a psychological thing, but I haven't found that colored vinyl really sounds that great, so I'm not really interested in the fact that it's colored vinyl. I just want to get it because it has additional tracks. Number 2, one thing you hate about records. I would say the one thing is sometimes you get those albums that have that inner groove distortion where the last track of the album it loses some fidelity going as the stylus travels inside of the record. It's a smaller circumference. Sometimes it's more obvious than others. I think with quieter music, acoustic music, say, or other music that the instruments aren't distorted to begin with, you notice it less. But that's one thing that's kind of annoying. Even if some people say, well, the record might be worn, but even if the record's in good condition, you never know. I think it has a lot to do with the pressing and the mastering more. The more dead wax you have, I think the more compressed the album is, which would have that effect on it. So I don't know. I'm not an expert on that stuff, but that's one thing I hate. Favorite concert? I've been to so many concerts, I can't really answer this question with just one answer. First one that comes to mind is the Metallica and Justice for All tour. 1989, I think, by the time they toured in New Jersey. So yeah, it was a great show. Because Metallica weren't completely that mainstream band, even though they were playing arenas and stuff. One thing I do remember, they played the song "Last Caress," which they usually did, but they also played "Green Hell," which I believe was one of the few times they ever played the whole thing all the way through at the show I saw them at. And they also played a bunch of other cool stuff like Bread Fan, and I think they also played parts of Frayed Ends of Sanity, which at the time they had not played anywhere else. Another one that comes to mind is the Kiss reunion tour. I saw them on the 4th night in Madison Square Garden. It's the first time I'd seen the original lineup. And the third one was when Bruce Dickinson came back to Iron Maiden. I think it was 1999. It was the Brave New World tour. They didn't put that many shows on sale in the U.S., but one of them was Madison Square Garden, and they toured with Queensryche and Rob Halford. And I remember them saying, or Eddie Trunk on the radio saying, "I can't believe these guys have the nerve to like book Madison Square Garden." And it turns out, I don't know how my brother got tickets, but it turns out the show sold out in like 45 minutes or something like that. So that show was unbelievable. It's the first concert I ever went to that the place was completely packed for the opening bands. I mean, it was Rob Halford and Queensryche, so I just remember it being like, I don't know if you've ever been to Madison Square Garden. They had this big open area in front where before you walk in, where you could just sort of just hang out, and it was just all these, Jersey, Queens, Brooklyn metalheads hanging out in the middle of, snobby Manhattan, right in front of Madison Square Garden. So I always remember that. Do you like CDs? Yeah, obviously I love CDs. I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, I have to get everything on vinyl. I mean, for the most part, anything from like the mid 90s on, I really don't care if I get it on vinyl because it's probably either recorded digitally or it's basically just having a CD pressed onto the vinyl anyway, which goes along with some of the reissues. If it doesn't sound as good as original release, I'm not really interested in getting it. So in that case, a lot of the newer music from bands I like, I prefer almost to get the CD in most cases. But, you know, it's hard for me to pick which ones I like better. Certain things, I think, 70s, 80s albums, I think, sound better on vinyl usually. That's usually the case. Some, it's a toss-up, you know. Next question, number 5. What thing would you change about your channel? I guess like more editing, things like that. I really have no interest in doing any of that fancy intros and all that crap. You know, I'm sure if I wanted to sit down and edit the videos, I could, but I just do this for fun, basically. I'm not really here to, like, you know, start a whole empire or whatever. Number 6, show a cassette. I don't have many cassettes left. For a time in the 80s, I did collect cassettes and quickly moved on to CDs at that point. I think cassettes in general are the worst format, sound quality wise, especially I guess in the late 80s and early 90s when I switched to those clear tapes. To me, those didn't sound as good as the original white cassettes that used to come on. I did like cassettes because my first couple cars had cassettes players, so I would make mixtapes and stuff. So that case, I did like cassettes, but I'll just show a few bootlegs I used to collect. All this stuff is available on YouTube now, so I just keep these for sentimental reasons. You know, I used to go to the flea market and get these bootleg albums. A lot of them are demos, concerts, but those are really the only cassettes I have left, pretty much. I know there's this movement now. I think a lot of them are coming back. There's even I saw a Facebook group, but you know, I don't want to get if to me it's collecting cassettes is more of just to collect them. I can't see how they sound better than a cassette. I mean a CD or vinyl. To me, it's just no way. Heaviest album. I have to think about that one first. Yeah, so heaviest album. I know Chris mentioned it could be heavy in different ways. Like, say, Bitches Brew from Miles Davis, you would consider a heavy album. But I'll just go, like, the traditional route. I'm going to say Vulgar Display of Power from Pantera. Just an album of pure brutality, basically. I'm not real into super heavy music. I mean, I like Slayer and Pantera. It's about as heavy as it goes. So all of these bands that came out after that had these, like, Cookie Monster vocals and growling vocals. I'm not really into any of that, so I know there's a lot heavier stuff than this, but to me that's a pretty heavy album. Number 8, a favorite Broadway show, soundtrack, or just tell me you hate show tunes. Well, I don't hate show tunes, but yeah, I am not gonna sit at home in my free time and put on a vinyl copy of Les Mis and rock out. But I have been to some Broadway shows, Sound of Music. I've been to Hairspray. But yeah, I'm not gonna listen to that stuff at home. But soundtrack. This is a pretty cool soundtrack called Roadie. I don't know if everyone's seen this movie. It came out in 1980, starring Meatloaf. And like the title says, basically follows a roadie around. It's a terrible movie. I don't know what happened in the late 70s, early 80s. All these music-related movies are just terrible. Like the Sgt. Pepper movie, this movie. It was a movie with the Village People, if anyone remembers that. But this is a double album soundtrack. It's got a cool Cheap Trick song, Everything Works If You Let It, that I guess would have been on All Shook Up. Pat Benatar, Alice Cooper, Eddie Rabbitt. There's a live version of Crystal Ball from Styx. Blondie cover of Ring of Fire, which I'm pretty sure is exclusive to this. But yeah, it's a pretty cool soundtrack. You could pick this up pretty cheap if you find it. But anyway, that was my response to the thread. Hope you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.